$6 billion for food security-related programs, $1.5 billion in emergency rental assistance, and almost $10 billion in emergency mortgage homeowners, more subsidies to buying health insurance.
You can eat, buddy.
Brianna Taylor, police waiting for apartments in Louisville, Kentucky. The botched drug raid fueled protests across the nation and led to calls to ban no-knock warrants. Lisa Duvall has been an investigative reporter for the Courier-Journal.
There's not a day that goes by that people aren't talking about Breonna Taylor in downtown Louisville, or they're starting a caravan, or heading in and keeping her memory up.
The Grammys are complete. With 9 nominations, and she could break the record for the most Grammys. She's already won 24 trophies. The show will include performances from the Staples Center, as well as some outdoor shows and some other remotes. Taylor Swift has 6 nods, and Silk Sonic will be among the newcomers to the stage. Trevor Noah is hosting this year. But she could become the first woman to win Album of the Year 3 times.
Doug, the sound is kind of choppy. I don't know what the deal is.
It's still choppy.
Gorgeous 1882.
It's better now. Hang on.
Less than 160 of these coins are available. Coin experts are calling the Great Southern Reward an incredible opportunity. Just call govmint.com at 1-800-509-6468 and you're guaranteed a mint condition 1882 Morgan silver dollar featuring the iconic full mint mark of the New Orleans Mint. These 139-year-old coins were found in sealed bags that have been since 1882. That makes these unopened bags of Morgan silver dollars extremely rare. To learn more, call 1-800-509-6468. Call now and you'll receive a free American coin bonus package, a $10 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-509-6468 now to secure your 1882 Old Morgan silver dollar coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-509-6468.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
You know, we have this little private chat screen. We can talk back and forth instead of text.
Oh, what is that?
Mine's right down by my taskbar on the left side. It says private chat. Let me open it up and send you a message.
Oh, I see it. I do see it. I got it.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, so we can, that way we don't have to go to our phones. We can just type on them.
The state of Louisiana mourns the victims of COVID-19. Governor John Bel Edwards has declared today an official day of prayer and remembrance for those that died in the first year of the pandemic. Our state confirmed its first COVID death on March 14th, 2020. Since then, it claimed the lives of almost 10,000 people in Louisiana. The governor says families and victims need our support now more than ever and calls everyone to protect themselves and others as best they can to prevent more deaths. New federal leaders dealing with COVID have been made. WWL-TV states more. That's the story.
Federal COVID rules have been relaxed for the first time since the
Hey, Siri, what is the population of Louisiana?
As of 2015, the
facilities will need to limit visitations or when unvaccinated residents are in a facility where less than 70% of the residents are fully vaccinated, meaning they've had either both doses or just the single dose, and 2 additional weeks have passed. Other limitations are parishes have a positivity rate greater than 10%, residents who have COVID, or with a resident who is quarantined.
In WWL Sports, another solid outing for LSU basketball in Nashville. Tigers with the 8th-ranked number 2 seed Arkansas out of the tournament with a 71 victory. The result means 3 seed LSU is in the SEC championship game the first time since 1993. LSU will play that game at noon and joined right here on WWL, which was pregame coverage 11:30 this morning. LSU would score off to the Alabama Crimson Tide looking for the first tournament title.
6 million.
But Tigers UTSA was coming after 9 innings. He advanced free baseball. LSU was
1%.
not at all bad.
2%.
On its way. Big hit, left center field. This ball is high, it's deep. Now the forecast from your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist, Peyton Malone. A better shot is seen from Dallas, London. Legal matter often requires extensive interviews, review of contracts and documents, and research of the current state of the law and the issues involved. As a result, provided by the attorneys and guests of All Things Legal, is given for informational purposes only. It is not to be construed as legal, investment, or other professional advice. Verbal or digital do not create an attorney-client relationship. From WWL, the news talk and sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Paid for by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Call or text 504-260-1800 or join us anytime, anywhere on the radio.com app. Now, to our separate Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Albert Nicaud, your weekend orders, all things legal. Call 260-1870. We're on until 10 o'clock. Good morning, Albert.
Good morning, Doug. How are you, man?
I was going to go to bed early last night because daylight savings time. So my childhood memories of daylight savings time is everybody walking into church late. Or, and then, being Catholic, you had to figure out whether you get credit between mass after communion, and so that was my childhood memory. But last night I said I am going to go to sleep early. I watched the rest of the LSU baseball game, and it ended up going into 14 innings. So
did it really?
Oh, fantastic! Great games now at Fox Stadium as far as non-conference games. LSU was up 4-0, and then USTA, University Texas San Antonio, came back, tied it in the 9th inning, and went to extra innings. Then in
No kidding.
10th inning, USTA went up 3 runs, and LSU was down to its last strike, hit a 3-run home run to tie the game.
You kidding me?
Oh, and then Cade Veloso on the next hit hits the top of the wall, hits it, and then USTA gets out the inning, so it's 7-7. 12th inning, USTA goes by 2 runs in the top half. LSU down to its last strike again is one on, and Gavin Dugas hits a 2-run home run to tie it. So we're into inning number 13. LSU held him, and then we had I think Jordan Thompson came in, hit a home run, walk-off home run. LSU.
Wow.
Tigers win.
Wow. Wow, what a fun game. Well, how late I was going to say, how late did it go?
So we were 1 hour away of actually experiencing spring forward. It finished at 12, which, was really fun.
Wow.
So, I mean, I hadn't experienced spring forward since probably, law school in person.
Right.
I was sleeping, but.
The LSU basketball game turned out well as well.
Wow. This is this was the last two games. They were gritty, played great defense, played team defense, blocked passing lanes, and they showed what they could do. Arkansas is probably a number two or three seed. Now, it'll probably be three. I mean, that is a good team. They won 12 straight in the SEC. They were probably the hottest team in the nation.
Yeah.
And so, now, you see, really, I'm saying this. It really doesn't matter once you're in the tournament how you played in December, January, February, December, January, and February, about how you play in March. And I think this is one tournament where you could have a mid-major or a 7, 8, 9 seed make it to the Final Four, because I don't think there's any, I guess, team that you're going to say is going to get there. I mean, I think it's going to be all up in the air, and I think there's going to be a lot of upsets, and LSU can beat anybody in the field, anyone. The problem is they could lose to anybody in the field, depending on who
it depends on what they do when they show up, because they certainly have the talent. They are missing, I think, a true big man, and a true 6'10", 7-footer that can protect the rim a little bit, and I think that's why defensively teams score a number of points on them. But otherwise, I mean, they got all the pieces together. They've got a little experience in the back court. They got some great young players. I'm impressed with the talent. I'm not so impressed with how they share the ball, how they, it's almost like it's I'm up next. Okay, got my turn for a three. We're standing around the 3-point line. Occasionally, somebody will put it back to the goal and ask for the ball, but otherwise, and like it's like Alabama, right? If Alabama shoots like they did against LSU the first time they played, or the last time they played them, it's over by the second quarter. But if we can find out a way to stop that three, or if they just don't shoot 60% like they did last time, we got a shot at winning this thing. I think that game's at noon today, right here in WWL.
They play Bama at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, and also too, one thing about basketball has changed over the years. Before, you had a number one was a point guard, number two shooting guard, number three small forward, number four a center. Now you have a positionless game. You put in your 5 best players, regardless of size, except for one big man, and you run around the perimeter, and you have the one big man inside, and you have the 4 players running around the perimeter, knocking down threes, which is a different game, which makes it, if you're going to live and die in the perimeter, if you hit 3 points, you can beat anybody. But if you're not hitting, you can lose to anybody, which is a little different. I think one thing LSU did differently in the last 2 games is they had Trendon Walford, who's 6'9", and he's basically a forward/center, bringing up the ball. And what's happening is when he brings up the ball, it provides matchup problems, because if they don't come out and get him, then he can sit out in the perimeter and he can knock them down.
Right.
If they come out and get him, then it opens up the middle for a lot of the guards to make penetration and kick and pass. And so that was one thing they did different, is they had their Trendon Walford probably taking the ball down half the time, and it posed a lot of matchup problems. And we'll see if that continues. I'm sure they'll, whatever happens, they'll adjust to that. I'll watch film. And also, because they have 3 guards playing, they have Eric Gaines, they have Gaines and Cam Thomas. Then they have the point guard, which is Cottonville, and Javonte Smart. And he, so they're basically, and then they got Darius Days, who's 6'6". So they got 4 players that are less than 6, who's shorter than 6'6", and they have Trendon Walford, who's 6'9". So it's
right.
different. But the fun part about this, they're good enough to beat any team in the field. They can beat anyone, and with the exception maybe Alabama. We'll see today. but they can also lose. They could lose to, I think they're going to be, if they win today, they'll probably be a 6 seed, maybe as high as a 5 seed. If they lose, they'll probably be a 7 or 8 seed. But they could lose, so I think every game will stand on its own, but they will not be out of any games going into it where you say, no, they just don't have a chance. So, well, your favorite time of year is March Madness.
It's my favorite time of year in terms of sports. To me, this is the best of the sporting events. College basketball. If you flick the channel back and forth, it's usually a 2-point game with a minute left. These kids have to make these decisions. They're all playing hard. They're playing their hearts out. They're not getting paid multi-million-dollar contracts. They're trying to make it to the next level. They're trying to win for their team. In non-COVID times, there's the stands and the fans are just so into it. There's nothing like it. I mean, it really is. And you can go from game to game to game, and usually it's very close. You can have upsets, much different than football, which I love, or baseball. It's just kind of slow, and of course, a game like last night is a different thing. But I don't know. It's just great. I'll be watching a lot of basketball in the next couple of weeks.
We're going to talk about Dr. Jerry, who's corner of that Jefferson Parish. Now you have Madison politics, including being a coroner. He's part, you elected office. He's medical director of basically the parish of Jefferson. And one thing we have to give kudos to is to the SEC, NCAA. Also, they had the championships this week at for LSHAA. Let's go back a year ago. Let's go back 6 months ago. And remember, who are the people who told us we couldn't have high school athletics? Who are the people who said we couldn't have college athletics? Who are the people who deny high school seniors the opportunity to play athletics and do, cheer and do all these activities their senior year? Who are all the people who said that you shouldn't have any type of college athletics? And remember who they are, so that when they come up for re-election, you have that in the back of your brain, because they were 100% wrong as far as being able to pull this off. And kudos to the SEC, kudos to the NCAA, kudos to the LSHAA, not listening to the people who said we couldn't, not listening to people who said you have to stay under your bed sheets in a fetal position and be scared of this and not live.
Right.
And so kudos to everyone that this is getting done. And, they had to go against pushback, because there's a lot of people who have authority in government who didn't want this to happen. We seem to forget about it since it's happening. But we want to know this because we want new decisions made in the future. And I think that's a little bit of what Jerry's going to talk about, is the true statistics of COVID, the facts and some things that may not be known, and how you use to shape certain decisions that aren't necessarily beneficial to.
Well, and a lot of these decisions too, Doug, were just, made from a financial standpoint or from a political standpoint. Walmart could be open and sell dresses, but the little dress shop around the corner that you could limit the customers to 2 or 3 people at a time had to close. Academy Sports and Outdoors was essential, and they've been open since the beginning. Why? Some of that just made no sense. A football team, finally, when they opened up in New Orleans, the football team can go play, but the band couldn't go play at halftime. The band that's going to be all, separate and apart, outdoors, blowing instruments. Why? None of it makes sense. These football players are sweating on each other. They're in a pile together, but the band couldn't play. So all of these kids that were in the band their senior year just didn't have the opportunity to go out there and play music like they wanted to play. Speaking of live music in clubs, has been shut down. So a lot of these people that did that work, sometimes it's a second job, sometimes it's their full-time job, depending on how good they are. But a lot of them, it's their second job, and they've not had the opportunity to go play music, and so they just haven't played in a while. They may have, you know, disbanded because, you know, that flow of their music and everything else and the practice of what's current music and all those things has just been erupted, and it's been a tragedy. I'm you know.
High school football players. We haven't heard any adverse effects where anyone had long-term, you know, really horrible issues from playing basketball, playing football.
No.
You know, you hadn't heard that, and but remember the people who said that would happen, and which we're going to all forget. But you know, it's just a very interesting thing. I think Dr. Sunseri is going to probably add some things and put things in the proper perspective in a way that we can all make decisions from going here on forward.
And I said this real quick. I said this last week, and keep saying it. Everybody that keeps making those decisions about you have to stay home and you have to close and you have to do this, every single one of them is getting paid for their full-time job. They haven't lost a penny in wages. They have their house is not about to be foreclosed upon. They can put food on the table. And so, yeah.
They're out eating out. So let's go to a break. Sunseri, Albert, Nicaud, we can lawyers all things. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
This year, I hope you all recognize one trip. They were all in our it's the same. But loving on our differences.
I don't know if it's my connection or it's just I'm not hearing it's just choppy, you know. So I gotta, and I don't know if it's you or me or what. I'm gonna try to move somewhere else and see if that helps.
Yeah. Special IRS tax programs that are available. IRS collection efforts weren't all due to the financial hardship consumers are facing. So the income tax problem, the open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax help. You call that. Take them back. Or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-638-0727 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone in the tax savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-638-0727 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-638-0727.
What reaction do people here in New Orleans have when they see the prices at Diamonds Direct? They are amazed. Look at them like, are you serious? That's Diamonds Direct associate Cesar Fuentes, who has 30 years experience, but he's never been able to offer his customers what he can at Diamonds Direct. This is a young lady that came in about the third week that we were open. Rouge, they used to here. They have their own personal jewelry here that they shop with. They heard the ads that we were running, so she paid us a bit. And what they found was what everyone finds: more higher quality and better value than you ever thought possible. We're here to make sure that you get what you want: the best value, the best quality, the best piece at the best. So up around, I'll guarantee you will be satisfied with what we have here. Diamonds Direct. New Orleans Direct Diamond Importer is just so special. On Severn Avenue across from the Sky Mall, or shop online at diamondsdirect.com. Dave's Annual Laundry and Spring. Stop by Take 5 to stay in your car 10-minute oil change. Because while the days may be getting long, our oil changes sure aren't. Longer days, but not longer oil changes. Like more time to write my novel. Oh, what's it about? Oh, okay. A child in England who's a wizard and fights against evil forces. Sounds very original. Visit TechFive.com to get $15 off any oil. Take 5 to stay in your car 10 minutes. It's a party. Doug Sunseri, host of All Things Legal on Sunday morning.
As a result of COVID-19, many are experiencing unique family law difficulties resulting in divorce and custody issues.
Also, we learned the importance of claiming the open powers of attorney.
At Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm,
Call me in the Mary office at 504-837-6304.
Or call me at Boston. North on the office in Nashville, 985-624-997.
Boss lady, really?
I struggle with gas and stomach pain.
All right. What?
We talked to my doctor, and he finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI, exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help function.
He major symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and daily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common diagnoses. Irritable bowel.
Getting to the right place and open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit with your doctor to ask,
I have EPI, sponsored by Ashley.
It's WW All Things Legal with Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Join us on the WWL Talking Text Line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. I'm sure if you listen to this, you know, to have lawyers that are not opinions are not, we're just not around for the most part. But I mean, when you listen to the show, and you probably get a pretty good idea as to how we use a lot of the overreach, you know, by government. Because one of the things we learned in constitutional law was that Constitution in place, no footnotes that says unless there's a pandemic in place. You don't need that. It wasn't any.
No, and again, listen, I get it. I get it. We didn't in March, April, maybe even May of last year. We didn't know what this was about. You know, as a government, you know, a lot of the politicians took. I don't want to say the easy way out, but probably the safest way out. Right? Yeah, they were erring on the side of caution, and I'm okay with that. You know, that's great. But then once we had a handle on it, and once we kind of knew, you know, what this disease does, you know, from the information, right, based on the science, right? Because we're just doing this based on the science. Well, the science kept changing, and so as the science changed, we should have, you know, changed and modified our positions. If you're going to ask a medical doctor who's making, you know, a few $100,000 a year or more, whether what's the safest thing to do, he's going to say, well, we're going to wear 3 masks and everybody stay home. But you can't do that. You have to balance it with an economist that's going to say, well, if we do that, then this is all going to happen, and this can happen, this can happen, and this can happen. And so it's not about being, you know, open up full blast, and it's not about saying, you know, shut it down. It's about finding that balance and working towards that balance. And I just think that there were many politicians that, you know, didn't want to be the one that, oh God, you opened up too soon, you know. And I think LaToya Cantrell, you know, kind of touched the stove, and well, you never should have had Mardi Gras. Right? Because we knew they had this pandemic out there. It was a super spreader before the term super spreader was even a term of art. But so since then, I think her knee-jerk reaction has always been, you know, we're shutting it all down. We're going to keep it down. I'm going to be the, you know, the person that saved as many lives, et cetera. You know, we learned about I can't think of the term, it's escaping me, but we learned so many different things about COVID, and our reaction as a society did not keep up with that. It did not reflect what we knew and what we know now. You know, once we started knowing who people with the comorbidities were and what the comorbidities were that make you more susceptible, the age thing, the children don't get it, that you know, on and on and on. The use of the ventilators, right? We learned that the use of the ventilator, only 15% come off of it. And so I see when, as somebody who's a respiratory therapist or looks at this and says, gee whiz, this is the protocol, but then all of a sudden that wasn't working. And now they've backed it off. They're using CPAPs. They're doing different things. And so the death rate since then has just plummeted since they've stopped putting people on ventilators. So you do with the best you can, but learn from the science and apply what you know to try to get people back in the open and open this economy up for everyone, not just for the wealthy businesses, which, most of the big box stores were all opened anyway, but for the little people that have to put food on the table, the people that are not the big companies.
Well, and it'll hit, 9 months. Well, I think the thing with the war is we see the acute reality in connection with what's happening in the last 9 months in ways most people probably didn't. You see, renegotiations of mortgages, renegotiations of commercial leases. You see a lot of issues regarding, clients seeking financial protection, dealing with debt, all those types of things, living that comes back to lawyers as far as try to help them manage that particular situation, manage that crisis, and live the day. But I think one of the issues is issues that's sprung. And one of the issues that has come up as far as they got two aspects of it. One, they've had a lot of litigation in Louisiana about what is liability, or can you sue your employer? Can you sue a place grocery store if you caught it? And as far as I'm concerned, Louisiana does pass a law saying that employers are protected from being sued under workers' comp for COVID, unless they were grossly negligent and not safety protocols in order to protect its employees.
Right.
Was passed, and it's gross negligence is a higher standard, much like they have gross negligence standard for the Mardi Gras statute. In other words, if someone is at a Mardi Gras parade and throwing beads and someone gets hit, you can't sue unless somebody connected with the Mardi Gras crew grossly negligent. And a lot of people are asking, can I sue? Now there's certain industries, like the healthcare industry, that may be more susceptible to COVID, but basically the law right now as stands right now is that unless the employer is negligent, consciously didn't comply with COVID protocols, or they conducted action where it would be reasonable to believe that the employees would catch COVID because of conscious disregard of safety protocols,
right.
Most would not be liable, because I think if you had litigation without the gross negligence standard, you even put more companies out of business.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And well, here's the other side of that. We're lawyers, right? And so what people tend to forget, and I met with a client on Friday, a potential client. He had a slip and fall issue, and we went and talked about it. And I had to explain to him, like I do always, that look, they're in a suit for damages. You have two elements. You have the liability side and the damage side. And so from a perspective of COVID, your damages might be horrible. You might have been put on a ventilator. You might have died. You might have, been who knows what, right? But the liability side is a little different. How do you now prove that liability? How do you prove that you came to work, or you were at this, particular grocery, or you were somewhere and this is where you contracted the virus? So those are the harder things that you have to deal with. And then once you prove that, then you now have to prove that the facility, whether it was an employment facility or some grocery or wherever it was that you're claiming this person got the disease, you now have to prove that they were grossly negligent in their actions and that they had no safety protocols, that they didn't follow their protocols, whatever the case may be. And the fact that they didn't follow their protocols may not even be grossly negligent unless they made a point not to file it, because gross negligence is a higher standard. It's almost willful. It's almost like, look, we're going to put these standards in place, but we're never going to follow them, and nobody's ever going to follow them, and we're not going to enforce them. And so when that's getting a little closer to gross negligence, other than, hey, we forgot to enforce them this day, or we didn't particularly do X on a particular day. So, yeah.
So that's a break. Sunseri, Nicaud, Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out on the Big 870.
This year we've seen a whirlwind of change, and unfortunately, these trends have crisis is a scary thing, but the way through a storm is steady. That's where we come in. Nobody on the phone yet.
All right. Darren Gleason, I think it's 7:30.
Yeah, right. Our audience hasn't sprung forward.
You know, just one thing. Get back to basics this month. Stock up on reusable bags for the grocery store. And be sure to recycle paper, bottles, and snacks. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hello, you've reached Toyota. This is Jan. How can I help you?
Hi, Jan. Is it a good time to save on a new Toyota?
It sure is. With great deals now through March 31st. You can be ready, set, go, and do this today.
Great. I've really been getting into podcasts lately.
Oh, yeah? Which ones?
Mostly.
Well, imagine yourself cruising in a camera. You can do that one there, of course, we'll scream like this, and the whole town is so excited. Or go camping in a RAV4 while listening to that video of Walking Crimes when there's sleepy seaside community. Or also,
Let's go, please. Qualified license at least a 2021 RAV4 LE for $249 a month for 36 months for $29.99 to its salary. Visit lifedealer.com.
On you. You are not alone. You're in the times. Listening is fundamental, promoting understanding and healing. Here's licensed therapist Dr. Laura Rose on Healing with Healing.
being more careful than people. We believe don't be afraid to give yourself what you need to be happy and healthy. It's hard because you need it in general. And social media creates a lot of fear in just a regular everyday life of keeping up with the Joneses. I say get a little bit of news and then go on with your day.
Talk is a power, and you are not alone. You have more at imlistening.org.
The first four letters of the word Kate is Pain, P-A-I-N. Hey, it's cool. I don't know about you. I don't see my home year after year. That's why I'm having
Hey, Doug, I'm still having trouble hearing the sound on the radio. It's breaking up. I hear you fine when you speak, and I'm looking at my I have 4 bars, so I'm getting a good signal.
Let me turn.
504 403.
Let me turn.
It's just choppy, you know.
I think that's the internet. Yeah. Yeah, 10 out of 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm all 4 bars, all green. So I'm
Let me turn you up.
my reception's good. And like I said, I hear you fine, but I'm just concerned that when Jerry comes on, I'm not going to be able to hear his responses.
Can you hear the commercial?
I'm sorry?
You hear a commercial right now?
Yeah, but it's kind of,
Okay, let me turn it loud and see if I can get it. Let's see which one it says.
That's right. We're giving away a Shark Robot vacuum every night for 3 months. So
Okay.
Let me see.
On the beach here in Nicaud County, Silver Slipper Casino, we are
This one is this. Let me go up a little more. Now this is microphone.
protection is through the security of your business by keeping your property, customers, and employees safe. Nova Protection is the most choice for security guard services and equipment. Give them a call at 504-577-2323 or on the web.
Input.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, that's 877-ASK-DELL.
All right.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live? Well, you know the right questions. Mellow guided investing helps you manage your portfolio.
All right, I'm getting it now. I can hear him. I mean, I can hear it. It just sounded like choppy.
Crank it up a little bit.
All right, we'll see.
One more spot. We're going live. Hear how professionals business really work with the Boardroom Out of Office podcast, hosted by Rick Klein. Every last 30 business partner, industry leaders talk about who they are, how they got here, and things they learned along the way you might not expect. Listen on radio.com and Apple Podcasts. WL and all things legal with attorneys Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Connect on the WWL Talk and Text line 504-260-87.
Hey, we're back. Dr. Terry, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers. The public service announcement is 8:43 a.m., not 7:43 a.m.
Right.
So
Our audience may not have sprung forward.
we're old school. Our audience is probably old school. We probably have a handful of millennials and Gen X's who listen to us when we don't make fun of them. But you see, the old school's got to take its watch and set it forward. And everybody else, the Gen X's and millennials, just
They let their Apple Watch do it.
Apple Watch does it, so
Right.
no problem with it. But okay. Bob Remy sent me this book, Great Court Trial, This Day in Louisiana History. This is for you, Albert. On March 14, 1975, UNO fell 2 points short in winning the College Division II basketball championship. They lost to Old Dominion, 76-74.
There you go.
Do you remember this name from the past, you being a UNO alum? Wilbur Holland was an All-American for the UNO. He was a little point guard, about 6'1", left-hander.
In 1974?
1975.
Yeah, 75. See, I got out of high school in 79, so I wouldn't have gone, I would have been the early 80s UNO folks. And I didn't go to a ton of games. We did occasionally, but we didn't go to a ton of games.
I was there. That was after Dwayne Rebold.
Right.
One of the first teams. But UNO used to be a power in Division II, and then they used to be regulars in the NCAA tournament about 30 years ago when Tim Floyd was coaching there. And so that's for you UNO alumni. And also, too, on March 14, 2016, Drew Brees signed with the New Orleans Saints. And
there you go.
It's good that Drew Brees came from an Saints perspective, obviously, because we didn't have Billy Joes playing quarterback, and we went to Super Bowl and a couple of championship games.
I was speaking of that. I'm going to interrupt you real quickly because you and I had 4 seats on about the 20-yard line, first row of the Loge together. And it was all through the Ditka years with the Billy Joes and they were 2 and 14. I mean, they stunk it up. I would try, even, I couldn't go to the games, or we didn't want to go to the games, and I'd try to give them to somebody. They're like, no, I'm cutting my grass that day. I can't go to the game. So it was like, we must be bad luck or something, because we had, I'm not usually a season ticket holder. I know you are. But we had those 4 seats that we got, and I hardly used them because it was just a bad scene.
Now, I want to this. On one side, with unprecedented Hall of Fame. So think about if the Miami Dolphins would have signed Drew Brees, and Nick Saban never goes to Alabama, and so you have a mediocre or average Alabama team, and how many more national championships would LSU had or SEC championships? So that day, one signing sort of changed the trajectory of Alabama, Miami, Nick Saban, New Orleans. Who would this town be without Drew Brees and still, with Billy Joes? For that. Also, we were talking a little bit, we're sort of preparing for Dr. Jerry Sintanovich, who's going to come on at 9:05. He's coroner for Jefferson Parish. Just talking about a little COVID employment type issues and, there's another, interesting issue that's happening now as far as whether employees have to get forced vaccinations in order to maintain their job, and whether if they don't, what type of rights do they have? And being at will, state employment state, which means an employee can fire you for any non-discriminatory reason in absence of a written contract for a specific period of time. That poses some interesting questions for employees, whether the employer can have a forced vaccination or not, which is an issue that's arising in the workplace right now. Right.
Well, and again, I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot of, you have to show some sort of vaccination card to get on an airplane. You're going to have to show some sort of vaccination card to travel to other countries. You're going to have to do it to get into maybe a public building, wherever they can try to limit your access. They're gonna. I have a feeling that's on its way. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just have a feeling that's the direction things are going.
Right. I think I was on a week when Tucker show. I think one of the days is the fact that a lot of the employers are asking the employees who are required to get vaccinations to sign a waiver as part of their employment, saying that if you get the vaccination, you're doing it at the request of your employer, but the employer would not be liable if there's some type of vaccination injury or some kind of complication or allergic reaction. The first question was, would that be legal as far as the assumption risk? And
right. Well, in Louisiana, there's a civil code article that talks specifically about the waiver of any claims as a result of personal injuries or gross negligence, right? And so it basically says you cannot in advance waive your right to make a claim for personal injuries or for what is called willful and gross negligence, or willful and wanton, WANTON, wanton negligence. And that what that says is that is against public policy. We don't want people waiving their rights. So you go to, TICFA and you sign a waiver, saying that we're not going to sue you if, something happens on this canoe trip or tubing trip, or you go, wherever, you go play ball somewhere and you got to sign a waiver. If you get injured, we're not liable. The theory is we don't want people in that position of running an event or owning a property or whatever to not have to maintain their property or not have to run their event safely. So as a result, any such waiver is against public policy and null and void. So I would think that would still hold true in an employer-employee standpoint, that you can get me to sign a waiver and I can sign it, but it's just not worth the paper it's written on. It might scare a few people away thinking, oh, gee, I signed this waiver. I'm not going to go see a lawyer. I'm not going to go make a claim because I waived my rights. It may be effective that way, but from a legal perspective, I think you'd be in trouble trying to enforce something like that.
One of the talk about is, business interruption coming with the COVID and some of the offsets if it was, which we don't think it is, and we'll talk about why. After this break, Nicaud, you can notice all things legal. Be right back after this brief time.
Well, you all here to tell me about Premier's annual spring super sale. Thanks, Tom. This is our biggest sale of the year. Coming to any of our new owned Premier dealerships because there's never going to be a better time. Is it good, Doc? They're going to be calling you or calling me? All the time. Trail vehicle. Plus, we have inventory arriving daily. Be sure to find a car that fits your budget. We're currently in need of used cars. Trading up now is a fantastic time. We're offering more than ever for you trade in. Visit Premier by Troy, head on over to Toyota New Orleans Premier. You can or Chrysler Dodge. The annual spring super sale is online at PremierDreamsAndDrives.com.
At Mike Burns Finger Attorneys, we know that car wrecks don't take the weekends off. For Monday, we need to help you right now. You need. You don't have to. Check. 24/7 attorneys, and we're available to you need right now.
Doing your best work from home? You don't have a great space. California Closets will help you create a custom solution that whether it's a small space, shared space, multi-functional space, or fixed space. Our professional design consultants help you to organize and make your space one that works better for you. And you can love where you live and work. Your free in-home or virtual design consultation today.
10-minute oil change.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
At the top of the hour, I'm just going to sign off. I'm going to sign off and sign back on because it's still, like I said, I can hear you, but the rest of it's choppy. I'll see if I can get back in that way. All right.
$15 on any oil change. Take 5 to stay in your car. 10-minute oil change. When our tanks hit the field, they're prepared. They've got a plan. They've got a playbook. What's your retirement playbook? Whether you're already retired or closing in on retirement, the retirement playbook can help you get ready. Playbook right now. Visit saintsretirementplaybook.com. That's saintsretirementplaybook.com. Brought to you by Quest Wealth Management, the official wealth management partner of the New Orleans Saints. Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian? You thought it would be too okay, going live right after this. Go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's like real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases, then sentences scrambled together for time. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel was created by language experts who use the speech repetition method to help you learn how to remember. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. Now, more All Things Legal. For by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Albert, I have a question for you.
All right.
Business owner says, should I fill out my paperwork for a business interruption claim? He is a one of many businesses in Orleans Parish that was shut down by government edict or not shut down, but unable to operate due to government edict. And so he said, should I file a business interruption claim, pros and cons, and do I have a shot?
So it's going to depend a lot on what your policy says. I think the insurance companies got pretty caught up. I forget what it was. I don't know if it was the Ebola scare or if it was one of the more recent epidemics or pandemics or whatever. And they started putting language in their policies with exclusions regarding, pandemics, sickness, those kinds of things that exclude the coverage. You might try to get coverage from a different perspective, again, from a government shutdown where I couldn't work. Those cases are being tried all over the country. You can see that there are a lot of summary judgments and preliminary matters where they're trying to get out saying, look, we don't have the coverage. Some courts are allowing the cases to continue to see, what the definition of this is and how it fits into the facts. So the jury's kind of still out, so to speak, on a lot of whether or not that's going to move forward. That's kind of a good question. I don't think, I don't know. I don't think that as a public policy decision that the courts are going to lay all of that burden on the insurance companies.
But also be an offset on PPP money. In essence, if a business receives PPP money, I know the courts would not allow them to double collect PPP money in the full extent of your losses. And I think part of the idea of the PPP money had several purposes. And one of the secondary purposes was it would make it less likely that businesses would sue for business interruption if they got their PPP money when they're able to sustain themselves and survive. But that question's still up in the air. I told them, said, go ahead and file, but don't bank on that money.
Yeah, right.
So don't budget it in. And if I had to give percentages, it would be.
Well, yeah, the PPP though assumes that you were open and that you kept your employees employed. So, this would be a total shutdown. A restaurant has to totally shut down for 2 months, totally closed. And then it's like, look, we had no choice. I want my coverage on that. So in those small instances, they may be able to, squeeze something out of the insurance companies that way.
And we have file, so you'd have to be this. All right, let's go to a break. We're going on national news, local news. See you in 10 minutes.
It's a paid-for program. The view not that of WWL, Intercom Louisiana LLC. Assessing a person's legal matter often extensive interviews, review of contracts and documents, and research of the current state of the law on the issues involved. As a result, the information provided by the attorneys and guests of all things legal is given for informational purposes only. It is not to be construed as legal, tax, investment, or other professional advice. Communications with the attorneys on this program, whether verbal or digital, do not create an attorney-client relationship. Home of the New Orleans Saints and Fighting Tiger Sports, 870 AM, WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM and 81 Kenner New Orleans, a radio.com sports station.
I'm ready to let a blizzard for the history books is hitting parts of Colorado this weekend. National Weather Service meteorologist Bob Horvath on the snowfall hitting the region.
Pretty high impact with the broad area of winter storm warnings out currently across parts of North Central Colorado, into western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming, and South Dakota.
KCNC TV's Alan Janae reports from outside Denver where the driving is treacherous.
Judge Stevens runs a big towing company in Castle Rock. They work up and down the county and along I-25. We prepare them for the worst. Being out there for 20, 30 hours. In Elbert County, they're preparing snowcats to retrieve people.
I've seen drifts well over 6 feet out here.
Our biggest concern is people driving past roadblocks. Under Sheriff Kate Fisher says they end up in a bad place. And people try to drive around those, and then it causes problems if they get stuck in a 10-foot drift.
The newly signed American Rescue Plan provides another round of stimulus checks arriving in bank accounts starting this weekend, along with big tax breaks for families. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
We are seeing a significant increase to the child tax credit. Thanks to the $2,000 for low to middle income earners, the income range is expanded now, and the child tax credit goes from $2,000 to $3,000. $3,600 if your kids are under the age of 6, so very big.
Every day, about 2.2 million people are receiving coronavirus vaccinations. CBS's Charlie DeMar reports from a site outside Chicago where dozens wait in case there are no-shows, cancellations, or extra doses.
The line outside a county-run vaccination site in River Grove, Illinois, is more than 50 people deep and growing. Not a single person here has an appointment. Some aren't even eligible, but they all have the same idea.
Just we're trying to get a vaccine, you know.
They'll come out and they'll let you know if they have any extras or anything.
Demonstrations were held across the country to mark the one-year anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor. This woman marched in New York City.
Yes, we are out here for Breonna Taylor, but we are out here for Black liberation. It's not rocket science. This system knows, this government knows that if we give people the resources they need to survive, we'll be able to sustain ourselves and not just survive, but thrive.
Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, spoke at a gathering in Louisville, Kentucky, where she was killed last year during a botched drug raid on her apartment.
I appreciate all the love and support for Breonna and Anthony everywhere, especially right here, but all across the world.
This is CBS News.
CBS News Radio is your home for breaking news. With our team of reporters around the country and the world, we give you the coverage you can trust.
Paid for by Asset Marketing Services, LLC.
Have you heard? A secret hoard of 1882 Morgan silver dollars has been found. These gorgeous 1882 old Morgans are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 160 of these coins are available. Coin experts are calling the Great Southern Treasury Hoard an incredible opportunity. Just call govnet.com at 1-800-509-6468, and you're guaranteed a mint-condition 1882 Morgan silver dollar, featuring the iconic old mint mark of the New Orleans Mint. These 139-year-old coins were found in sealed bags that have been untouched since 1882. That makes these unopened bags of Morgan silver dollars extremely rare. To learn more, call 1-800-509-6468. Call now, and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $10 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-509-6468 now to secure your 1882 Old Morgan silver dollar coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-509-6468.
WWL First News. I'm Tom Perumian on your official weather station, WWL-AMFM.com.
Maybe another warm afternoon. We'll get to around 81 to 82 degrees. We can watch out for a few showers and maybe a little more thunder through the afternoon and evening. Not a widespread heavy rainfall. And it's looking quieter as we head into this evening.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist, Kate Malone. 3 men are under arrest and facing charges in a murder for
Is Jerry on?
WWL TV's Paul Dudley.
Did Jerry call?
Details.
Doug?
3 men accused of killing 2 women in a botched murder for hire plot have been indicted in Fairbanks Parish. Bill Cormier, Andrew Estrom, and Delvin Wilson face 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. They each pleaded not guilty. They're accused of killing Hope Nettleton and Brittany Cormier on January 13th. Authorities say Beau Cormier hired his friends to kill a minor who had accused him of rape. His sister, Brittany, who was shot after telling the men that she was the rape victim, saved the life of the intended target.
New Orleans moved to phase 3 on Friday, which means, all right, we've got to call in now. Once again, allowing indoors.
Jerry's on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Restrictions make it difficult for some venues to host live bands.
But New Orleans now in phase 3. Live music and alcohol, bars, have to host a ton of experiences.
There you go.
Live music is allowed indoors, but again, a lot of things that we go through in order to present music. Yeah, there's requirements about the HVAC system, about the air conditioning system, supposedly having to recycle air 6 times in an hour. You know, there's basically no club in town that has that configuration. Steve Sparrow, live music reporter for the Times of New Orleans Advocate. Other phase 3 restrictions include band members standing 6 feet apart, and audience members must wear a mask, be
seated at all times and are prohibited from singing, dancing, or cheering. Here's Mark Menard and WWL Sports. LSU basketball is back in the finals of the SEC tournament for the first time in a very long time. Tigers last made the finals in 1993. They're there today. Knocking off Arkansas 78-71. James open for three. Good! Eric James with the bonus ball. Now they face down the sixth-ranked team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide, for their first tournament title since 1980. You can hear it right here on WWL. Tip-off is at noon. Coverage at 11:30. LSU baseball played a wild one at the Fox last night, leading 13 innings to settle their first game of their league.
What happened to Kentucky? Why did they fall off the rails this year?
The Tigers don't have it.
Just couldn't recruit.
1-1. It's high and deep to left center field. This ball is high, it's deep, and it's gone! And the Tigers walk it off! 10-9 was the final in the 13 innings. And LSU got their second win of the weekend over the Sunseri. At 13-3 on the season, they'll play 83 today at 1 o'clock. I'm Mark Menard, WWL Sports. Now the full forecast from your local weather expert, WWL Malone. We'll be looking at another warm spring. We'll see a few showers, maybe along the afternoon, so if you're going to be out and about. Have the rain tonight looking pretty quiet. 60s on both sides of the lake. Monday, 83 for your high, a little bit more humid, and a 60% chance of showers and maybe a thunderstorm through the day, even going into Monday evening and Monday night. Tuesday could still see a few showers, but less coverage is expected. High to be around 81. From your local weather expert forecasting on WWL TV meteorologist Dave Malone. And I'm Tom Peruvian, WWL.
Can you hear me, Doug?
The following is a paid program. The views and advice expressed are not that of WWL or Intercom Louisiana LLC. Assessing a person's legal matter often requires extensive interviews, review of contracts and documents, and research of the current state of the law and the issues involved. As a result, the information provided by the attorneys and guests of All Things Legal is given for informational purposes only. It's not to be construed as legal, tax, investment, or other professional advice. Communications with the attorneys on this program or the attorney-client relationship. From WWL, the News Talk and Sports Powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Paid for by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Call or text 504-260-1870 or join us anytime, anywhere on the radio.com app. Now, Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union Studios in the heart of New Orleans. Here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, All Things Legal. How's our signal, Albert, across the lake?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit. One more time.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Get the volume up get your engineer and Old Matter to turn your volume up a little bit.
My volume is at 100%.
All right. We
microphone.
All
right.
Let's why don't you call in? And
let me do that.
Okay, we'll call in. But we got Dr. Jerry Santanovich as a guest. Albert's gonna call in a few minutes. And are you on the phone, Jerry?
Yes, I am.
Good morning, Dr. Santanovich. Thanks for joining us. And as Albert gets on the phone, we thank you for waking up. Did you have a problem?
I'm happy to be here.
All right, and you obviously didn't think it was 10 o'clock right now or 8 o'clock right now. So we're glad you.
Kidding me? This is the highlight of my professional career. I've been waiting for this since 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you've been practicing, huh? You've been practicing and rehearsing. Well, good. We want to have you on just talk a little bit about COVID. You got a very interesting position because anytime you're the coroner of Jefferson Parish, you're an elected official, and anytime politics beats medicine, you always have something that comes out that is a little different because it's you meld in two worlds together that have often different objectives, and you're the one who sort of tries to make sense of it. Is that a good assessment of one of the secondary duties of a coroner?
Yeah, well, look, there's a lot of intersection between what we do in the coroner's office and the law. And in the three functions that we have in the coroner's office, obviously everybody knows that we do death investigations. So obviously we have to work closely, with and
Can you hear me?
with legally. Then the other two departments are sexual assault, where we are in charge of all the evidence collection, the rape exams in sexual assault, which is extremely important to do it properly within the confines of the law. And last, definitely not least, is the mental health department needs to be brought in against their will, basically my office. And then once people are admitted, like the facility, we manage the physician certificates and we perform coroner's emergency certificates so that we are laws, making sure that everything legal.
So not in the medical industry, you go from very different disciplines within the medical industry as well as incorporating the different legal aspects. I know when we have to get continuous tutorships for someone who's under 18, but you want the parents shouldn't have the child to have, or the child of the young teenager, we already have to get a letter from the coroner saying, yeah, we agree with that assessment that this illegal representative is the age majority because they're not capable of taking themselves. So that's one of the functions. Oh,
The facts of those situations to make sure that everything is proper, and if we assuming that all is proper, then we will grant that tutorship to whomever. Yes.
all right, Albert.
Yeah, so I know there are a lot more functions. You think of a coroner's office, and the general public thinks of something on television that you see, and they show up at the murder scene or some sort of scene in a detective show, and the coroner, takes the body and does the autopsy and determines the cause of death. But I know that your office has many more functions. Could you just let people know beyond the autopsy situation what other functions that it handles?
Well, other ones. So Albert was. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'll tell you the death scene. A lot of people just assume it's the coroner or the coroner's representatives come to the scene and kind of pick the body up and go, and it's not the case. The homicide you just described. But a coroner's case, okay, every suicide, every overdose, every accident, every child, every death that has been contained, every death admission to the hospital, anything quote unquote suspicious, and then use that
Wow.
Hepatitis, HIV, and lately COVID.
Okay. So we I see now I'm getting feedback from my phone, Jerry. So transitioning from COVID, what I know that you and I spoke together about a little unofficial experience that you had, a little test that you had, where you compared COVID in 2020 with deaths in 2019 in Jefferson Parish.
Sure, look, we've got a lot more deaths in 2020 because of COVID, but then also a lot more deaths in general. And those experts, that people call them, people want to naturally assume that those are COVID diagnoses that were not diagnosed. But the largest aspect that we had when when so many doctors' offices closed, and people were fearful Somebody might be having, let's say, for example, chest pain at home, they know that there's an emergency room, and get treated and diagnosed. Who were not being able to treat it for, say, for a cancer or something like that. So those are the reasons for all the excess deaths. But those have thankfully slowed down.
And would now, as far as you explain to folks, because we've seen a few things in some discussions where you would have someone okay, stage 4 cancer or end stage congestive heart failure, and then and they also had COVID at the end on their last illness. Would that be classified as a COVID death, or how has that been classified? And does that maybe affect some of the numbers as far as perception of COVID deaths one way or the other?
Well, look, I mean, what we have here is on the number of people who had COVID. As a contributing factor in their death. So, just like COVID, it's so important. It's so important for disease. And I don't know personally of any cases in my parish where somebody got in a car accident and had COVID, and we all heard that example. I don't think somebody it's likely that they're much more likely to the cause of death that ultimately caused the person's death. And so profit put down the death certificate.
So, and that's what I was trying to explain from is that often, a COVID death may be classified publicly as COVID or counted in the statistics, but it doesn't necessarily break up into categories as far as, COVID death versus someone who had no pre-existing conditions. COVID death to someone who is, at a all sort of both lumped into one category. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah. And previously, most of the people who in the most of the people who got there have from the world trade. Very young, very people because not it's very
all right, Doc. Yeah. If okay, let's go to break. And can we voice over? Albert said he'll pay you double if you stay for the next segment, and if you get held over. And so we'll be right back with Dr. Jerry Contanovich, Justin Harris talking about And this is in right back. If this become out.
Yeah, Doug, can you hear me?
What happens is, if you get your phone, you get feedback because if the phone goes into your microphone, it goes back into your phone, back to your microphone.
Right, right. Well, I've got it on, I have it on mute, so I don't know what the problem is. Can you hear me though? Can you hear me now talking?
You're fine.
Yeah, but you and Jerry are breaking up. So I'm trying to ask a question and I can't hear his answer all the way because it breaks up. So I'm not sure what to do. And I've tried logging back in twice. I mean, I can try it again, clicking off and try.
If you wanna go.
Yeah, because when I'm on the phone though, maybe, my microphone is off. And I have it on mute, so I don't know what,
I think something's happening where
there's feedback.
Feedback with your phone.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, but you can hear me fine?
how about if I mute you?
Oh, you want to try that? Yeah, why don't you mute me and then I'll just get on the phone. And I'll turn my microphone off anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you. Okay. I got you. Okay. I got you muted, so I don't think we'll have feedback.
Unsolved mysteries.
When we go on, I'll mute you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, when we go on, I'll mute you. You talk on the phone.
Right.
And I don't think feedback.
Sounds good.
And hey, Doug, can you tell Jerry just apologize?
Benefits with People's Health, including a $300 per quarter allowance for over-the-counter health and wellness items.
Allowance for healthy foods, free transportation to medical appointments, a free gym membership, and dental, vision, and hearing coverage. If you have Medicare and Medicaid, take a look at the benefits of People's Health. Learn more at peopleshealth.com.
At Community Coffee, we've been making great tasting coffee for over 100 years. But what makes us different isn't just how long we've been around. It's how far we're willing to go in pursuit of the perfect cup. We select only the finest beans and use over 4 generations of family roasting experience to give you the richest, most delicious coffee around. Find Community Coffee at your local grocery store or visit communitycoffee.com to order some today.
Brandon Oliver here, stylish, quality, trust.
Okay, the last spot of this set will be Mercedes-Benz. It'll be Sunday morning.
This is Attorney Michelle Demarest from Sunseri. As a result of COVID-19, many are experiencing unique family law difficulties resulting in divorce and custody issues.
Also, we learn the importance of estate planning, wills, and powers of attorney.
At Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm, we make the complex understandable.
Call me in the Mary office at 504-837-1304.
Or call me, the boss lady, on the North Shore, my new office in Mandeville at 985-624-9697.
Boss lady, really? If you ever have any problems with your AC or heating, you want someone there to help right away. Take it from me, Paul LaGrange, host of the Home Improvement Show. When it comes to repair, you can trust in Burkhardt and Air Conditioning and Heating. Burkhardt provides repairs for any brand of cooling and heating system, and you can call them anytime. Their team has years of experience, and they know how to get you up and running again fast. So when you need help, visit Burkhardt at acpromise.com. And tell them Paul sent you.
Hi, folks. Joel Myers, my friends at Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans. Outstanding customer service. It's what Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans is all about. Working hard to exceed their customers' expectations every day. Outstanding customer service means having a fleet of over 100 loaner cars to keep you on the go. It also means picking up your vehicle and delivering it back to you. Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans on Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, a proud member of the Gail Benson Automotive family of dealerships. It's WWL and all things legal with Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Join us on the WWL Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Dr. Terry, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Got Dr. Jerry Santanovich, Jefferson Parish Coroner, who's also probably got enough information on Albert that if it was known, disclosed by Dr. Santanovich, he would not probably be allowed to practice law. Is that correct?
You might hear everybody walk up that, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Just a brief history. I was a waiter at Driver's Restaurant. Of course, you know, Jerry's family owns the restaurant. He's done, you know, a wonderful job in expanding it and their generosity feeding folks in times of crisis and times of need has been well documented. And but you know, we go back a long way and had a lot of fun together. And you know, we decided we're not gonna tell secrets, right?
No secrets. And Dr. Stantanovich, thank you for while we're working out all these technical issues while we're trying to interview you. So
I'll comment. Albert, since you brought up the restaurant, I'll tell you that you know, my mom and my dad, when he was alive, you know, their proudest accomplishment is when they look back at the people who worked at the restaurant, both my brother, myself, and the people who wound up, who were our co-workers and wound up our friends, and how we see how successful they become in life. You know, we've got, you know, doctors, lawyers, engineers, business folks, you know, parents, and so they're very proud of the people that used to work at the restaurant. Albert, even you, even me.
Oh,
it's the son they never wanted.
That's right. It was basically, you know, took Albert as a reclamation project, and it worked out pretty good, right? There you go.
I kind of lost count of how many times Albert was fired, but he was always brought back.
He's always brought back. All right. But I was going to put you, well, a couple of things, and I think Albert was talking about it before. If you want to talk a little bit about COVID and, you know, people under 25 and under, in the effect of that, you know, COVID, what have you learned?
Well, look, we had, you know, in Jefferson Parish, we had very few, you know, deaths of people 25 and below. You know, nationally, you know, as well. I mean, it's interesting, as dangerous as COVID is. I think when you look at like last year in 2020, we had, I think nationally, I read there was 191 deaths under 18 years old from COVID. But you know, that flu season, you know, the 2020 flu season, seasonal flu, we had 188 people under 18 died. So, you know, that's one of the things I mentioned before. Thank God. I mean, you know, it's not significantly more dangerous to the, you know, young people than the seasonal flu. You know, and could be attributed to the fact that, you know, young people will frequently get the flu vaccine, and it was probably what helps keep so many young people from dying. I'll tell you, if you look at the 530,000 people that died from COVID, if we didn't have a seasonal flu vaccine, a lot of those people would have been dead, you know, several years ago. You know, because if you think like who gets the flu vaccine, it's young people, you know, it's school-age kids, you know, very old folks who are in nursing homes, assisted living, you know, people who have multiple comorbidities. Those are the, you know, I think it's like 40% of the American population gets the flu shot every year. Those at-risk people are the people who are most likely to get a flu vaccine. So that flu vaccine has protected them for years. And this year, when you get COVID, which was not covered by the seasonal flu shot, suddenly those people are getting a flu in many cases for the first time in years, which kind of explains why so many people died from COVID. You know, it being a new virus and all. Right. So, what are the trends now from a death standpoint? You know, people have always counted the number of COVID cases, and that's always seems to be, you know, and yeah, I get it. You know, when you're the press and you have 20 different news stations, you've got to compete. You've got to get people to watch the news as opposed to watching the Kardashians, right? And so you're going to try to sensationalize the news. You're going to try to find something that is at the higher limits of what the news might be. You know, even the Weather Channel, you know, storm destroys such and such, and you see, you know, a piece like all people wanted to talk about with the press is COVID cases and not COVID deaths. You know, and again, Doug and I made it very clear our position on doing this safely, but working towards getting everything opened and getting this economy back rolling and having people have their jobs back. And so when you look at the COVID numbers in terms of cases, it just seems like so staggering an amount. But I think the deaths to me are the things that, if you recover from it, you recover from it, and let's move on. But the deaths are the issue. What are the death trends now?
Well, the death trends in the beginning, okay, we were seeing a lot of COVID deaths, just nationally, also in Jefferson Parish, we were seeing, some days we were seeing 10, 15, 20, 25 deaths a day in Jefferson Parish. It's back last March, a year ago. And after about 2 months, it went down. We had issues in the beginning where we talked about it, like with body storage and all that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then when we had the summer spike in COVID, interestingly, there wasn't a significant spike in deaths. When we had the spike between the end of November and last month, we did see an uptick in deaths, but again, nothing like what we had in the first wave of COVID. So, from my personal perspective, and what I see nationally, the first wave was significantly more deadly than the second and third.
Let me ask you, do you attribute some of that to the ventilators? The fact that, that was kind of the knee-jerk protocol. Hey, look, we have this person's trouble breathing, let's vent them. And then they kind of gotten away from that, to my understanding, is that, few and farther between are going on ventilators because so few have come off of it.
Right. Well, the reasons for the second and third wave that lowered death rates is several. Number one, the healthcare providers are smart. They figure out what works and what doesn't. They find out that maybe putting people on the ventilator is not the best thing for them. They also develop new treatments. In the beginning, a lot of doctors were afraid to give anybody a cortisone shot because they're like, oh God, if I give them a cortisone shot and they get COVID, this may make COVID worse. Well, lo and behold, we find out that the cortisone steroids actually is a treatment for COVID. Then you develop new drugs like remdesivir, which is an antiviral drug, and Regeneron, and one called BAM, which are the antibody treatments. So, we have figured out how to treat people with COVID much, much better than when we did a year ago. So it's no surprise that the death rate per case is lower now than it was 6 months ago or 12 months ago. Right?
All right.
And I think it's going to stay low.
But Dr. Stanovich, look, you're going to get triple pay now. Do you mind staying over? If you stay over for one more segment. So you got time for it?
Oh, I'm happy to stay over. Like I said, this is the highlight of my professional career.
There's a lot I could say about that statement, but we'll be back after this brief timeout with Dr. Jerry Stanovich, coroner for Jefferson Parish, and we'll see you in about a couple minutes.
On your next WWL First News, one of the biggest oil industry groups has expressed support for carbon pricing. We'll break down what that is and what it could mean for Louisiana. But with Congress and the country as a whole looking more and more polarized, is bipartisanship dead? Also, we'll have Monday morning markets with Mark Rosa to answer all of your questions about the stock markets. Join me, Tommy Tucker, 6 till 10 a.m. right here on WWL. Live, local, original, just like New Orleans.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, that's 877-ASK-DELL.
You
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money. Then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. Now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, National Average Savings on New Customer Survey through Safety 2019.
Hear how the best minds in business really work with the Boardroom Out of Office podcast, hosted by Rich Klein, Kevin Durant's 35 Ventures business partner. Industry leaders talk about who they are, how they got here, and things they learned along the way you might not expect. Listen on radio.com and Apple Podcasts.
I'm Erin, and this is my life with California Closet. I purchased a historic home that's over 150 years old. One of the biggest things old houses don't have is closet storage and organization. And in a modern life, you really need to store a lot of things. Working with California Closets was the only way to get exactly what I needed. It really makes my life better. I finally have my dream home, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it.
Schedule your free design consultation today at CaliforniaClosets.com.
No boat shows? No problem. Boat Stuff has over 100 boats on order. Come in today for boat show savings on Boat Stuff's full line of coastal boats, including Avid, Blue Wave, Lexus, Seafox, and Regulator. Boats and Yamaha motors are coming in weekly, all with boat show savings. Make no waves about it. Get your boat and Yamaha outboard from Boat Stuff. It's right out, Harvey, Port Sulphur, and Hammond. Or at boatstuff.com.
New Orleans is ready to get back to work, and DKI Office Solutions is ready to help you create comfortable, functional, and safe office spaces. With our large inventory and our design team, we can work with you to configure the best possible way to set up your office. Visit us at DKIOfficeSolutions.com to find out how we can help you get back to work.
This is Bobby Abraham from my friends at Clearwater Pools and Spas, your staycation headquarters. Let us make your backyard a great family vacation spot for the summer. They're the trusted leader in water treatment and offer the largest selection in above-ground pools, spas, and hot tubs, including hot spring spas. They're the only factory authorized in training in pristine blue and oxygen sanitizing systems. Visit CWNova.com or one of our locations in Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, and Pearl, Mississippi. Clearwater Pools and Spas.
People come from everywhere to football campers and cars.
Having fun? Does fall.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas.
One more minute, you were alive.
All right.
It all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Back to WWL and all things legal with attorneys Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Connect on the WWL Talk and Text line, 504-260-187D.
Hey, we're back. Dr. Terry Albertico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We have Dr. Jerry Sintanovich on as a guest, just talking about a little bit about COVID. Dr. Sintanovich, you have a very unique perspective. I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit, but you're a doctor, but yet you come from a background where your family's institutional. It's a restaurant. It's institutional in New Orleans. How do you, going forward, how do you address, COVID, and also, like your family's restaurant? How do you merge the two where people are safe, but yet we continue commerce? That's a loaded question, but.
No. I think I see where you're going. Look, it's important for us to, for commerce to get back up and running, and but most important to get back up and running as safely as possible. And the more and more people that get vaccinated, I think nationally, I think we're probably 1.5 million to 2 million people a day getting vaccinated. So we are rapidly, getting to the point where the most vulnerable people, susceptible to COVID complications, they've been vaccinated. So, obviously that's a great thing. We're not at herd immunity yet, but when you combine the people who had the vaccine plus the people who've already had COVID, I think the likelihood of us having another significant spike in death, that fourth wave that you hear them talking about, I hope it's unlikely. And so let me ask you, for the point of these businesses reopened. Yeah. So Jared, from a pandemic standpoint and a vaccine standpoint, for all of those naysayers say I'm not getting this vaccine, I'm not going to do this, all the conspiracy theorists, but even those that are just like cautious, saying, look, they studied ranitidine for 10 years and it's been on the market and now they're finding out it causes cancer. What do you say to those people that are just reluctant to get the vaccine? Why do you believe it's safe? Why do you believe that it's something everyone should do? Well, I do believe, all the evidence that we have at this point tells us that it's safe. I understand your point about the, things like ranitidine, things but at this point, we look at, if we don't have a vaccine, we know that, we will continue to get waves of this virus that will be deadly to our most vulnerable people. So, getting herd immunity is an important thing, and the vaccine, from where I've read, the vaccine, because of the protein code or whatever it goes after, it's a very safe vaccine, and I haven't heard of any substantial numbers of complications. So I think it's a great thing. And remember, not taking the vaccine leaves you susceptible to getting it. And once you get it, all bets are off. And some people who are very healthy who get COVID are going to get very sick and sometimes even die. So I do think it's important to get vaccinated.
Now, can you just tell us a little bit about herd immunity? There's one aspect of the vaccine. Is there any other aspects of herd immunity that will, looking forward, that, optimistically, that will, sort of take place in order to mitigate the effects of COVID?
Yeah, look, the premise of herd immunity is like when enough people in a general population have been exposed to something to where basically there's not enough opportunity for the virus to propagate. That's when you get herd immunity. Now, that's on a large scale. On a small scale, we have, what's your herd? In my herd is my immediate family. So if I get my immediate family, if we're all vaccinated, then our little herd has immunity to COVID. That doesn't speak to the herd across the street, but really, it's going to be a great thing when enough people have either had the vaccine or had COVID, and at that point, this will be in our rearview mirror. I think it's pretty darn close to being in our rearview mirror anyway, by the way.
All right.
So with respect to these vaccines, Jerry, do you think that it's going to be an annual thing like the flu shots? Do you think it's going to be the type of thing where, hey, look, it's time for your COVID vaccine? Or is this something that we just need to obliterate one time? And, and I understand there's certain strains that they're just discovering
moving forward that this is going to be something everybody is going to do every year, much like the flu shot?
I'm not sure. And I don't think that they're, well, obviously, we don't know long-term immunity because we haven't been using it long-term. But, you know, with the seasonal flu vaccine, they figure out what variants of the virus, what strains of the seasonal flu virus are going to be most prevalent, and they put those into the vaccine. So are we going to be doing the same thing with COVID? Maybe so, maybe not. I just don't know. So are we going to need a booster of a COVID vaccine every year or every couple of years? I'm probably somewhere in there, but I just don't know.
Wait, let me ask you this. You went to Jesuit. You should know these kind of questions, huh? You were a Jesuit grad. You're supposed to know these type of things. See, Albert, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, just and Doug and I, you know, we have our opinions regarding the media. And I think that's been pretty well known in our program. You know, why does it seem that the media doesn't want to share good news about the deaths being low, about how, you know?
Oh, optimistic news, yeah.
Yeah. Why are they always on the pessimistic side of the virus?
Yeah, and guys, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a glass half full kind of person. I'm always an optimist. Even though I'm the coroner, I'm an optimist. But I wonder the same thing because I see good news everywhere, and it probably doesn't look like it's reported much. And I kind of wonder if the people in charge of dissemination of information at a government level, whether that's local, state, or national, I wonder if they worry if we give too much good news, are people not going to get vaccinated? Now, that's actually a valid concern because if we don't get people vaccinated, enough people vaccinated, we're going to be dealing with this doggone thing for a long time. So how do you, the catch-22 for them is how do we deliver good news but not de-emphasize the need to get vaccinated? So I think that's what a lot of them are struggling with. I think it's probably good intentions, but I understand what you're coming from with that because there is way more good news right now than it seems like is getting reported.
All right. Now, you got one thing. I was stalking your background, and I thought you were from New Orleans, but you're actually from Vancouver, British Columbia. I saw that you were born there, right?
Yes, both Tommy and I were born up in Vancouver because when my mom and dad came to the United States, from Croatia, what used to be Yugoslavia, they both were in New Orleans on tourist visas. My dad was already living in Canada. My mom was still living in Europe. But they met in New Orleans on tourist visas and got married a couple of weeks later. And back then, you didn't stay in the United States illegally. So they actually got married 2 weeks after they met and went to Canada where my dad did have a visa. And so while they were in Canada waiting to come to the United States, my brother and I were born in Canada.
Now, your parents supported the American dream. They came from Croatia, not knowing the language, just had a dream, and they made it come true in Dragos. I mean, they're part of what makes America what it is today, huh?
Sure, there's no question. And look, it's funny because it's a true example of the American dream. They came, without money, but a lot of hard work and determination, and things worked out great for us. And as a family, we support immigration. We support legal immigration.
Absolutely. Look, I say it all the time. There were many, when it was Dragos, there were very many slow days at the restaurant, slow nights, and Drago and I used to talk a lot. We cracked open oysters and, just visit. And I got to tell you that, I know of no better American than Dragos Satanovich was, that he was just so proud of America and the opportunities that it brought to him. I mean, he was forced to fight under Marshal Tito in Yugoslavia in World War II and escaped, and knew and understood what oppression really was and what this country offered, and had firsthand knowledge of that. And again, there was no better American that I knew, or to this day that I know, that is more proud, or was more proud of what this country stood for and what it provided.
If he were alive today, he could tell you about communism, because look, he got arrested trying to row a boat across the Adriatic to get away from communism. So he knew it well. And he was very proud to be an American. And Albert, I'll remind you, he was very proud of his tomatoes that he grew in his yard as well.
Well, the doctors.
I'm going to tell your listeners a little story. And one day, my dad would have those tomatoes in a basket on the oyster bar at Drago's. And one day you walked up to him, you talked to him, and you picked up 3 of those tomatoes and started juggling.
There you go. And you live to tell about it. Well,
yeah, he was very proud of this flower. Look at my flowers, tomatoes, and they were beautiful. And he was going on and on about how.
Well,
so I'm just happy that I started juggling. He was happy. He looked over at your mom and Tommy and said something in Croatian, and I didn't know, and they killed themselves laughing. So I said, Tommy, what did he say? He said he wanted to know if we had enough insurance in case I killed Albert.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, Dr. Sinanovich, thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time this morning. Also, what I'm telling you to do is take Albert's hourly rate and bill him for the hour. Okay. And then you can have a great dinner, some great afternoon out. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, Dr. Sinanovich. We appreciate you joining us. Let's go to break. Dr. Sunseri, Albert, Nicaud, your weekend lawyers. We'll be right back. Just free time out.
Hello, you've reached Toyota. This is Jan. How can I help?
Hi, Jan. Is now a good time to save on a new Toyota?
It sure is. With great deals now through March 31st. You can ready, set, go.
Toyota today. You know the podcast lately for those long drives.
Oh, yeah? Which ones?
Mysteries mostly.
Well, imagine yourself cruising in a Camry, listening to that one where a priceless painting of this and the whole town was a suspect. Or go camping in a RAV4 while listening to that one where a shocking crime turned their sleepy seaside community on its head.
Okay, we'll have about 2 minutes. Something, and that'll be a wrap.
You know what? With so many good places to go, maybe I'll listen to them all.
Spoiler alert.
What's the fun? Toyota, let's go places. Get $1,500 customer cash for qualified lessees to lease a 2021 Highlander L for $279 a month for 36 months with $29.99 through its sign. At participating dealers only. Visit buyatoyota.com for details. Offers available in select states and 331.1. Financial planning is a woman's issue. That's because women live 5 years longer than men, so the money has to last longer. But women earn 20% less, and women are out of the workplace for 12 years due to caregiving, plus children, and later parents. The result is that women enter retirement with just 2/3 as much money as men. Hi, I'm Rick Edelman, founder of Edelman Financial Engines. Join me and Gene Chatsky, founder and CEO of HerMoney.com, for a special virtual event, The Truth About Women and Money, on Tuesday, March 23rd at 3 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern. It's free. Register at rickedelman.com. The Truth About Women and Money will give you actionable advice on how to help secure your financial future. This isn't just for women. If you have a wife, mother, sister, or daughter, you need to attend this webinar. So join me and Gene Chatsky, March 23rd at 3 or 8 p.m. Eastern. Register at rickedelman.com. That's BryceDelman.com.
Days feeling longer now that it's spring? Stop by Take 5 to save your car 10-minute oil change. Because while the days may be getting longer, our oil changes sure aren't.
Longer days, but not longer oil changes. Guess I'll have more time to write my novel.
Ah, what's it about?
Oh, okay. A child in England who's a wizard. He fights against evil forces with a bunch of his young wizard friends.
Sounds very original. Visit T5Savings.com to get $15 off any oil change. Take 5 for saving your car 10-minute oil change.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, the sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel was created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Unsolved Mysteries, the iconic television series, is now a podcast. All new mysteries of terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths. Unsolved Mysteries is available now for free on radio.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen.
Plan the retirement you've always dreamed of. Listen to Your Money Matters Saturday mornings at 7 here on WWL News, Talk, and Sports Powerhouse of the Gulf South.
Now, more All Things Legal, paid for by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Got a couple of minutes before we call a wrap. I think you had a story about Dr. Sandanovich, huh?
I want to again thank Dr. Sandanovich, our guest in Paris Corner. Tell a quick story about it. So I was working at the restaurant, at Drago's restaurant. Jerry had graduated from medical school, and while I was in law school, I was working over there. And he graduated, and his first job is the doctor on a cruise ship, right? He's Dr. Adam Bricker from the Love Boat. And so, you know, he sends back some pictures of his job, and there's this picture of him with a Band-Aid and this cute girl in a bikini who had been jogging on the deck, and she fell and skinned her knee. And so it's a picture of him in his little white doctor outfit, putting a Band-Aid on her knee. You know, like this is me in medical school, and this is what I do all day, right? So, but that's a typical snapshot of Jerry Sandanovich.
Well, he went from Dr. Adam Bricker to Quincy now, and Jack Klugman, huh? So Quincy, yeah, go Tigers at noon. SEC championship, first time since 1993. I'll leave you one thing with a little Saints note. Cam Newton's re-signing with New England Patriots. That was the biggest suitor for Jameis Winston, aside from the Saints. So maybe that's telling you something in the future. So there you go. But you're right. Go Tigers. I mean, Alabama. It's always great to beat Alabama. I didn't want to tell my Alabama jokes, but it'd be my last show if I did. So there you go. All right, so we'll see you next week in All Things Legal. Thank you, Albert, and be good, be blessed, and go Tigers.
The previous show was a paid-for program. The views